Hi everyone and welcome to Triple M Adventures with Bill. In a recent video I showed the problems I had converting my Turnigy TGY9X into an OpenTX radio. And in that video I asked my subscribers if you were interested in me doing the full video of that conversion. Please let me know in the description and I would help you out. So this is that video. On the Turnigy TGY9X we just need to remove these 6 screws from the back so that we can get to the internals of the radio. Now we've undone the 6 screws, we need to take the back off. Now you have to be careful when you undo the back of the radio. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this. There's a ribbon cable just at the back there we need to undo. So let me just take that out. You have to be quite firm with it. But once that's off, all this is separated. And on this radio I did the conversion with this FreeSky module, and you can see I wired up the antenna and everything, but we can now put that aside. Okay, and here is the radio. So you can see what I did on this one was I soldered in, I had some old broken, let me undo this, I had some old broken servos. So all I did is cut the plugs off and then wired them into the board. I'm going to zoom in on this to show you how I soldered it. So I wrote on this which way these plugs have to go onto the USB Tiny AVR, which is here. I'll put a closer picture of that. So basically all you do is you check it goes on the right way. I don't need to do this here. And if we look here, ground, MOSI and volts. If we look on the back of here, there's volts. So volt is the white. So I need to put this on that way. And I know the other one will go on the opposite way with those terminals out. Okay, so that then is ready to be plugged into the computer. So let me zoom in on this so that you can see how I wired it. I'm going to put a picture on screen of the actual close-up of the wiring to show you how to wire it. But that's how I did it with this one, and I'm not going to permanently mount this because what was suggested is that you mount this here and you cut a hole in the side like I did with my other radio and mount it there. But it appears that OpenTX will not be supporting this radio any longer. So the 2.1 version of OpenTX will be the last one you can put on there. The only problem with not being able to have the AVR permanently connected to the radio is that I won't be able to use OpenTX Companion to back up the models. But I'm not going to be using this radio. The other one, it is permanently installed. So I would be able to do that. Okay, let's take a closer look at the wiring. You will see here, this wire that has to be soldered there is the reset wire. The next one is the SCK, which is here, which on the diagrams that I've mentioned before was soldered to this pad here, but that didn't work. And as soon as I soldered it to this resistor, voila, it worked. The next one I can show you is the voltage, which is this one here. The one at the bottom here is the ground pin, and then your MOSI is here, and the MISO is below it here. And I hope you can see that in the video. I'm not a brilliant at soldering, but I managed to solder it and I had no bridges. I'll put on screen the picture that shows you what wire to solder where. To complete the conversion of your Turnigy TGY9X to OpenTX, you will need to get hold of one of these. It's a 5-volt micro USB Tiny AVR ISP, which is available from Banggood. I have left an affiliate link in the description below if you'd like to purchase one, and if you do via that link I will get a small commission. The first thing we need to do is download 2 pieces of software and the firmware. The first one is EP. Now EP is the program that I use to program the radio. Now, I'm not sure if you can go straight ahead and use OpenTX Companion, but because I did it this way, I want to show you the way I actually did it and the way I succeeded in doing it. So let's switch over to the computer. We need to go to this web address. It is www.er9x.com. We need to scroll to the bottom of this page, and there you will see EPE and EPSky for Windows. I need the Windows version, you may need the Linux or the Mac version. So let's click download. We now are going to save this file. I'm going to say File, Save As, and I'm going to put it under the Turnigy TGY9X directory. Now you can see it's already there, so I'm not going to download it because I already have. So I can say cancel. So now we have that part of the software that we need. Now we need to download Companion 2.1. Now let's switch over to the computer. We need to go to OpenTX, Downloads, and then go down to 2.1 branch, and then you'll see OpenTX 2.1.9. Click on there. Now we download the installer for Windows because that's the computer that I have. File, Save As, and then you can see it's already in my directory, so I'm not going to save it again. So now I have the EP install and the companion exe file. Now we need to install the EP program and OpenTX Companion 2.1. Right, we need to go to the directory I saved the files in, and on my computer that's under Radios and Turnigy, and there are the two files. I'm not going to run these exe files because I've already done it and the programs are already installed on my computer. So just go ahead and run them, it's quite simple, and install both of those pieces of software. Now we need to download the OpenTX firmware using the OpenTX Companion 2.1. So I've launched the program on my computer, so let's switch over to my computer. You will see that I've already set the radio profile up. And if we go into settings, in here I've got the name of the radio, and the HK means for Hobby King because it's got the Hobby King module in it. We go down, it's set for English. I've got no options checked there at all. And then at the bottom I've got mode 1 and the default channel order is RETA. So that is okay. Now, we want to download the firmware. Now, to do this, we go to Download, and you'll see the latest download for this radio, the OpenTX 9XEN, is 2.1.9. Now, if we check for updates, there won't be any because I've already downloaded this software, but you will need to download it. So I'm going to say Download Firmware. Okay, I'm going to put it into my radios directory for here, and then I open up a directory saying firmware. Now it's already there. There is the hex file. So you would say save and let it download. So I'm going to cancel. Now we can close off the OpenTX Companion. Now let's plug the AVR into our computer and see if it's working correctly. Now to check it, we need to go into the device manager. So now I'm going to plug the device in and switch over to the computer. Okay, let's go into my control panel and device manager. And what you're looking for is this option here, which is LIB USB-K, USB devices. Open that up and you'll see it says FAB-ISP. Now this works perfectly well with my computer, so hopefully it will with yours. So that's what you need to be looking for, is that, and then you should be able to flash your firmware to your radio. Let's check if everything is working correctly. What I would suggest is you download the old firmware to your computer so you've got a copy of it. So if anything goes wrong, you could restore that to the radio. So let's switch over to the computer. Before we get started, we need to go into settings and make sure that the configuration is set up as following. Programmer must be the USB Tiny, the MCU must be set at M64, and the port USB. Now it's quite a simple program to use, but what we need to do is go to this icon here where it says read firmware from transmitter. Let's click that. It's going to ask us to save it. Now I've already saved it in here. You'll see it's original HK, but let's just say firmware, and there you'll see everything's working nicely. It's downloading the firmware to my computer. Now obviously this has already got the new firmware on it, so I'm downloading the 2.1.9 version. This process can take some time, so I will speed this up. There we go. We should have the firmware downloaded our computer. So let's go and have a quick check. We're going to go into radios and the 9X, and then releases. There it is. See, it's 10th of March when I recorded this video, and it's downloaded it. Now we need to install this firmware onto the radio. So that is quite simple to do. We go back into EP, and then this time we click the flash firmware to transmitter. Click there, and then that's the X file, the hex file there. So click, say OK. Write to OpenTX 9X English hex to flash memory. Let's say yes. And off she goes. Again, I will speed this up because it will take some time. Whilst the firmware is updating, I won't show you me rebuilding the radio because it's just a matter of reconnecting the ribbon cable and then putting the 6 screws back in to hold the radio together. So the next part of the video I'll show you is when it's working, hopefully. And there we go. AVR DUDE finished correctly. So that's great news. And there we go. We can now put the radio back together and check that if the flashing worked properly. Right, the moment of truth. Let's turn the radio on. Now you will get an error when you turn the radio on. Okay, you see it says bad EEPROM data. Just push any key and it will format the EEPROM. And there we go, OpenTX is on there. Okay, throttles up, push any key. Okay, we're getting, there's the gear switches up, so you put that down. Okay, so everything is neutral. Now we can calibrate the gimbals. You have to do that straight away as well. So just push menu and set 6 sticks to midpoint. So there we go. I would have to pick this up to be able to do this, to get it into midpoints. Let me pick it up, I'll bring the radio back. Sorry about this, but I can't do that with the camera in the way. Midpoint for that one. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to put them into the midpoint. Then you will say, once you've done midpoint, click menu, then move all the sticks around, so to their full deflection. There we go, we should be okay there. Move the rotary switches, rotary switch, and this one over here, and then click menu, and there we go. Now you can use the radio as an OpenTX radio. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching it, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you really enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel and share this with your friends. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. Bye for now.
Disarm motors.